For those who think this coronavirus thing is real and you're really concerned about catching it, well, I've got some good news for you. It is a complete load of fucking bullshit. And I'm just going to show you in this video what I mean by that. The whole world is involved. The media is involved heavily in all the countries, virtually all the countries around the world. And I'm just going to point out this figure, the 400 figure, or the 400,000 figure. As I shown in the previous video, a gentleman, Dean Koontz, or something to that name, in 1981, he wrote a book about the Wuhan 400. The Wuhan 400 virus. But just sit down, relax, and I'm just going to point out all the news articles showing the 400 and its connection to this coronavirus. Starting with this one here from the Daily Mirror. Coronavirus fears 400,000 Brits could die from bug as pregnant GP says I'm scared. UK's top scientists say 60% of the population could contract the bug and 400,000 could die. Then we go to this Hamodia, a Jewish newspaper. Poll, fearing coronavirus, 400,000 considering not voting. Some 400,000 Israelis may not go to the polls next Monday, fearing they could be contaminated. There's your 400,000 again. Then we go back to that original one. Coronavirus could claim 400,000 UK lives, warns British expert. Who the fuck is this guy? British expert? All of a sudden, a leading global expert has confessed that predictions of 400,000 coronavirus deaths in the UK are not absurd. And listen to this. However, while the British scientists admitted the figure was possible, he also warned against estimating numbers as so little information is currently available. You know, so little information, but yet, let's just bring out the 400,000. Australian doctors warn of overwhelmed public health system in the event of coronavirus pandemic. Let's just scroll down here. What are we looking for? If 50% of Australians, that's 13 million people, became infected, that is up to 400,000 people dying. So they just happened to use 50% to make out 400,000 people dying. Here we have World Vision's 3.7 million coronavirus campaign to aid nearly 400,000 in China. Not 500,000, not 1 million, but 400,000 people, amazingly. We have this one here. It's not in English, but I'll just read out what it says here. You can see the 400,000 there, euros. This translates to Luxembourg announced Friday to participate in the fight against the global spread of the coronavirus by unlocking financial aid of 400,000 euros. Amazingly, not half a million or 1 million, but 400,000 euros. Coronavirus causes Moody's to slash global vehicle sales forecast for 2020. So what do we got here? Underneath here it says the existing reservation list for the new Tesla Model 3 electric vehicles is more than 400,000 people long. Amazingly, another 400,000 from the coronavirus. From the Japan Times, at least 400,000 Chinese travellers expected to cancel trips to Japan by the end of March. Once again, not 500,000, not 1 million, not 2 million, but 400,000. And we have this French article here. I'll just scroll down here and I'll just translate what it says here in English. This part here. Saturday morning, Milan Central Station is unusually quiet. Some people wear a protective mask. The facility is used to handling around, you're not going to believe it, 400,000 people every day. But a week of the epidemic has reduced the number of rail passengers to and from the city by 70%. 400,000 people a day. Amazingly, coronavirus outbreak. Hong Kong Airlines to cut 400 jobs. Ask employees to take unpaid leave, reports media. Hong Kong Airlines will slash 400 jobs as the coronavirus outbreak adds to financial troubles for the carrier. We have Wuhan coronavirus doctor sees up to 400 patients a day. Coronavirus cases top 20,000 as death toll climbs past 400 in China. Coronavirus cases in Japan exceed 400. This is a classic. This is a classic. Korean air flight attendant with coronavirus reportedly serviced 400-seat aircraft that flew between South Korea and US twice. Are you kidding me? They have to mention the 400-seat aircraft. Who gives a fuck about how many seats there are in an aircraft when you're talking about coronavirus? But no, they got to mention 400-seat aircraft. And we even had the Daily Mail. Coronavirus fears wipe 400 billion off the value of China stocks in biggest drop for 5 years. Coronavirus. About 400 applications for work pass holders re-entry into Singapore rejected daily. Oh my God. 400 property conference delegates warned over coronavirus risk. New research. Bats harbour hundreds of coronaviruses and spillovers aren't rare. Olival and his colleagues were also in the process of collecting samples from thousands of bats in China. Fast forward to the present day, Olival says what they found is alarming. We found evidence for, in total, from all the sampling we did in China, about 400 new strains of coronaviruses. That means 400 potential candidates to spark another outbreak. The Dow falls more than 400 points as the coronavirus outbreak worsens. This is in January the 24th. You're not going to believe it. February the 4th. Dow soars more than 400 points. Oh, fucking what? Oh, God. Will this ever end? But there's more. Let's just scroll down here. Stocks rallied on Tuesday, building on solid gains from the previous session as the market recovers from a steep sell-off that was sparked by worries over the coronavirus. Then it goes on here. The report came a day after the People's Bank of China unveiled liquidity injection measures to the tune of more than 1 trillion yuan. The PBOC also injected, get ready, another 400 billion yuan in liquidity. Over 400 under watch at homes in Kerala amid coronavirus scare. Some 400 registered for China virus evac. The federal government is trying to deploy officials into the lockdown Chinese city of Wuhan, where around 400 Australian citizens have registered for evacuation from the epicenter of the deadly coronavirus. Even the Irish are getting into it. Irish officials to decide on event restrictions as Dublin schools shut. Here we go. Over 400 students at Dublin School begin 2 weeks off to prevent spread of infection. There we go. More than 400 students of the school are today beginning 2 weeks off after public health officials ordered it to shut to prevent the spread of the disease. And we're back to good old Australia. Australia relaxes coronavirus travel ban to allow some students from mainland China. We just scroll down here. There are about 400 Year 12 students and 360 Year 11 students. Just so happens to be 400 Year 12 students. Italy sealed off entire towns and cancelled major events after 400 coronavirus cases and 12 deaths made it into the most infected country outside of Asia. Oh, there it is again, 400. And from the Japan Times, what do we have here? More than 400 Philippine citizens from virus-hit Diamond Princess cruise ship arrive home as number of infected rises to 80. So we've got 400 Filipinos. Coronavirus, Japan cruise ships US passengers home for further quarantine. There were about 400 Americans on board the Diamond Princess. About 400 Americans. Oh, who makes this shit up, honestly? Americans are taken from the dock ship to Haneda Airport in Tokyo. Sure don't look like Americans to me. They're as Japanese as could be. But yeah, we've got 400 Americans on board the Diamond Princess, and we got 400 Philippines on the virus-hit Diamond Princess. So what we're saying is, if you want to cruise on the Diamond Princess, you have to be amongst the first 400 of your country to get on board. Oh, this is hilarious. Coronavirus exposes Western universities' reliance on China. We scroll down here. We are teaching 400 Chinese students online and have cancelled recruitment fairs. Just so happens to be 400 Chinese students online. Forbes, over 400 companies warned of the impact of coronavirus could have on first quarter. Not 500, first quarter earnings. Not 500, not 1,000, but 400 companies. Coronavirus, only 400 patrons allowed on Hong Kong race courses. The Hong Kong Jockey Club expects only 400 patrons to be allowed on course after a further tightening of measures designed to contain the spread of coronavirus. Who came up with the figure 400? Not 1,000, not 800, not 700, but 400 patrons. Italy seeks help as coronavirus cases surge past 400. Oh, what have we got here? The Pakistanis are involved as well. Pakistanis demand flights for students in virus-hit China. More than 400 angry parents and relatives of students caught up in coronavirus lockdown in China have confronted Pakistani government officials to demand the evacuation of their children. More than 400 angry parents. Oh, not 500, not 1,000. Oh, this is laughable. Coronavirus daily update. Mongolia to bring 400 people back from China. Not only Australia bringing back 400, but Mongolia has got 400 people as well. Oh my God. We got this one here. 400 million lockdown in China to fight coronavirus. From the Gigi Press, coronavirus cases in Japan exceed 400. From the BBC, coronavirus, how a misleading map went global. So what do we got here? And how did it start? The study estimated nearly 60,000 people might have travelled to almost 400 cities worldwide. Not 500. 400 cities worldwide before the Wuhan authorities had imposed a ban on travel. Daily Times, coronavirus death toll climbs over 400 in China. And we have a YouTube video here, I won't play it, but the title. BTS fans army donate almost up to 400 million to help coronavirus prevention. No, it wouldn't get the 500 or stop at 300. It's at 400 million. Amazon reports 400% surge in face mask sales despite doubts over the ability to prevent infection. Amazon has seen medical face mask sales in the UK skyrocket 400% over the past 24 hours as coronavirus fears spread. By the time a vaccine goes through the regulatory process, the virus may have already waned, as happened with SARS. Kramer points out that it can cost almost £400 million to bring a vaccine to market. Almost 400 million. Coronavirus in Thailand, dealing with the 2019 COVID-19 outbreak and impact. So what do we got here? Let's just go down and down. What do we got? Thai authorities are also considering to limit export of surgical masks to avoid shortage in the country, the demand for which has been surging since the epidemic's outbreak. Thailand exports approximately, you're not going to believe it, 400 million masks a year. Coronavirus. Deutsche Post loses 70 million euros off February earnings. Just go down here. DHL delivery business owner also said that it expects to take a one-off charge of 300 to 400 million euros. Coronavirus cases climb. Dow sinks along with mortgage rates. Debt refinancing is also being affected by the coronavirus. Marseille, France-based CMA CGM SA, the world's third largest container shipping company, is looking to extend loans totaling roughly 400 million. Coronavirus. Chinese officials scrambling to keep food flowing to cities on lockdown. Merchants were warned earlier against hoarding and price gouging. The Shanghai city government said it fined a supermarket 2 million yuan for raising the price of cabbage by 400%. The 2019 novel coronavirus. What do we know so far? We go down here. During the next few weeks for the Chinese New Year holidays, it is estimated that around 400 million people will travel within China. From the Markets Insider, worldwide economic growth could shrink by more than 1 trillion if coronavirus becomes a global pandemic, one research firm warns. We go here. A more optimistic estimate from the firm anticipates the pandemic being contained within Asia and global GDP falling 400 billion below their baseline before a sharp recovery in 2021. Gross domestic product growth in 2020 will fall 0.5% or 400 billion. As coronavirus becomes a two-front war, investors and travellers give up. As we go down, a new credit card agreement with JP Morgan Chase and Visa will bring in an extra 400 million in revenue this year. And we have one here from New Zealand. Petrol prices to drop as coronavirus puts squeeze on oil. Go down right to the end. We go here. That outpaced the 8% increase in the volume of fuel sold, which it said was more than 400 million litres. Coronavirus to shred China airport traffic by over 400 million passengers. Coronavirus. Where did our quarantine facilities go? Just go down here. A century ago, California had a quarantine station on Angel Island that held 400 beds. I thought I'd just throw that in. Getting a bit desperate here, but it's all about the coronavirus. Oh, we're going to have climate change, carbon dioxide, somewhere in this coronavirus shit. So Chinese CO2 emissions dropped 25% because of coronavirus. And we read down here, China released 400 million metric tons of CO2. I just thought I'd throw that one in as well. Just happened to be 400 million metric tons. IAG says coronavirus could push failing airlines over the edge. Just scroll down here. In January, Alitalia received, guess what? A euro 400 million state loan to keep it going. Oh, fucking hell, 400 million, you wouldn't read about it. Why we shouldn't pin our hopes on a coronavirus vaccine. Just go down here. The coronavirus plus a merger boom. We got here, coronavirus crash. It says here, still, it's really bad. Steamship lines are losing 400 million a week. Oh, God. This is from the South China Morning Post. Coronavirus, almost 400 applicants eye up Hong Kong 1.5 billion scheme to boost mass production in Hong Kong, but none can meet government's technical standards. Almost 400. It's 250, but it's almost 400. Study begins in US to test possible coronavirus treatment. The first clinical trial in the US of a possible coronavirus treatment is underway in Nebraska and is eventually expected to include 400 patients at 50 locations around the world. Oh, God, this is just unbelievable. 400 patients at 50 locations. Tanker market feels impact of coronavirus. The coronavirus outbreak is estimated to negatively affect global economy by at least euro 400 billion this year. From Mexico we have this. There could be 400 more infected by coronavirus in Mexico. Infection cases top 400 in South Korea. Another 229 people in South Korea, that's pretty exact, 229, have tested positive for the new coronavirus, bringing the number of cases in the country to more than 400. If they use an exact figure 229, why don't they include an exact figure here like 407 or whatever, because it says it's more than 400, but they just have to show the 400. In the Asian Review, China penalizes 400 local officials as public amounts. Notice how they put 400 local officials, but then when you go down here, Xinhua recently reported that 337 officials were disciplined in the Hubei province. So it's 337, but no, let's make the title 400 local officials. And we have a video here, coronavirus outbreak. World Health Organization update as new cases drop below 400. Children can get the coronavirus, but most will have mild symptoms. A study of more than 72,000 patients by the Centers for Disease Control in China showed only about 400 cases in children under age of 9 with no deaths. We have this article here, 1,000 people in quarantine as a precaution. Let's just scroll down here. Around 400 people are currently under quarantine in the Heinsberg district. We have this Italian article. Coronavirus Italy, 400 infections. The coronavirus balance in Italy continues to rise. The latest news, the latest official numbers speak of a total of over 400 infected, including 12 dead. Coronavirus, 400 temperature taps and 37 samples at the Tenerife Hotel. As reported by both responsible, so far have been made more than 400 tests to the different guests of the hotel. An Italian one here. Coronavirus, 400 bambini in auto isolamento in Toscana. I'm not sure what that means, but it's obviously 400 children in isolation in Toscana. Coronavirus in Germania, 400 persone in quarantina dopo il carnaval. Obviously there's 400 people in quarantine somewhere here. 400 scientists convened to find most promising study to begin developing vaccines for coronavirus. The 400 scientists participating in the two-day meeting, many remotely, will try to determine which approaches seem promising enough to advance to the next step. So, 400 scientists. Oh, this is getting absurd. Here we got the Australian coronavirus. 400 trapped Australians register with DFAT to be evacuated from China. Exactly 400 trapped Australians. Coronavirus, 400 Australian citizens registered to be freed from Wuhan. Another Italian one. In Italian, coronavirus 400 contagiati or whatever. Well, there's the 400. BC prepares for new coronavirus with diagnostic test as over 400 cases reported in China. Filipinos evacuated from virus hit Japan ship back in PH. Just scroll down to here, a tweet from CNN Philippines. The DFA-PH Embassy in Tokyo with the Japan Self-Defense Force and the DOH medical team will bring around 400 Filipinos from Yokohama Port to Haneda Airport. Cruise ship passengers disembark in Japan after quarantine ends. There's the ship, there's the disembarking. More than 400 passengers on the coronavirus hit cruise ship Diamond Princess disembarked Wednesday in Yokohama. US reports first case of Wuhan virus. 9 dead, 400 affected in China. Coronavirus outbreak. South Korean PM says he feels responsibility as cases soar to over 400. Skechers, Ralph Lauren, and 400 other companies raise red flag about coronavirus impacts. More than 400 companies around the world have already seen or forecasted a negative impact on their businesses from the coronavirus outbreak. And in Italy, coronavirus, 400 infected, 12 victims. Positive woman gives birth to uninfected child. Hundreds infected with coronavirus in prisons across China. More than 400 cases of the new coronavirus have been detected in prisons across China, officials said Friday, fueling concerns about new clusters of the epidemic. Oh, will this ever end? Pence leans in on coronavirus as response gets political. Let's just scroll down. And we have it here. Those caring for family members or dependents with the virus, and a $400 billion stimulus package aimed at countering potential economic damage. Protecting our people and our economy from coronavirus. We have this article here. Enacting at least a $400 billion stimulus to head off the projected economic effects of coronavirus. There could be 400 coronavirus infected in Mexico. Professor says coronavirus